Sarah Mitchell stood at the edge of the ballroom, unseen in the glitter she paid for. No invitation. No welcome. Only the weight of 14 silent years pressing against her ribs. Everyone laughed under the chandeliers she funded. Everyone except her. They didn't know she carried proof in her bag, emails, transfers, lies. They didn't know tonight was the end of her fear. She watched her sister smile for the crowd, a smile bought with Sarah's sacrifices. Her hands trembled, not from doubt, but from the truth she was finally ready to reveal. If a family could be built on secrets, she wondered, what would happen once every secret burned? Tonight, she would find out. Sarah learned early that survival sometimes meant silence. She was 17 when her mother tore the report in half. The paper split like a final warning. Rick stood behind her mother, arms crossed, smirking. He enjoyed watching Sarah shrink. Her mother said the neighbors didn't need drama. She said Sarah exaggerated. She said no, one would believe her anyway. The words carved deeper than any bruise. Sarah folded into herself that night. She promised she would grow up and leave. But leaving didn't free her. Success did not shield her. Money became the only thing her family valued. When she started working, the calls began. Her mother needed help with rent. Rick needed medication. Lily needed new books for college. Every request sounded urgent. Every plea carried guilt. Sarah told herself she was doing the right thing. She believed generosity could fix broken bloodlines. She believed love could be bought if she tried hard enough. The years blurred into transactions. Birthdays became opportunities for them to ask for more. Holidays turned into rehearsed speeches about hardship. Sarah paid each bill without protest. She told friends she liked supporting her family. She never admitted she feared losing them entirely. Her mother praised her only when money arrived. The compliments felt like borrowed warmth. Rick reminded her that successful daughters should give back. He called it duty. He called her selfish when she hesitated. Lily grew comfortable taking. She treated Sarah like a service, not a sister. Sarah kept a spreadsheet on her laptop. Not out of resentment, but out of habit. Every transfer was logged. Every bailout documented. She thought someday the record would prove her loyalty. She didn't know it would become evidence. 14 years passed in quiet exhaustion. Sarah canceled vacations to help them. She skipped medical checkups to cover theirs. She chose smaller apartments to afford their bills. Her own life shrank while theirs expanded. They sent photos from restaurants she never visited. They posted new furniture she unknowingly funded. She watched them live comfortably while she struggled. But she kept giving. She believed one more payment might earn respect. One more sacrifice might heal old wounds. Instead, their demands sharpened. What started as requests became expectations. What began as emergencies became routine. Her mother called her the responsible one. Rick called her the stable paycheck. Lily joked that Sarah didn't need a family of her own. She said Sarah already had them to take care of. The laughter stung more than accusations. Still, Sarah endured. She clung to the idea that family meant obligation. She didn't notice her boundaries dissolving. She didn't realize she was being drained. Not until the day the invoice arrived. $8,000. No explanation. No gratitude. Just the same familiar command. Pay this. Do your part. And beneath it, the line that finally broke her. You are not invited. The email arrived on a Thursday morning. Sarah opened it while stirring cold coffee. Her mother's name sat at the top like a warning. The message was short. The tone was familiar. Here is the invoice for Lily's engagement party. Attached was a bill for $8,000. No greeting. No explanation. Just the expectation she would pay it. Her heart dropped as she scrolled. Then she found the final line. You don't need to attend. Lily is worried you'll make things uncomfortable. Her breath stopped. She reread the sentence twice. It didn't change. Her family wanted her money, not her presence. They preferred her invisible. Sarah sat still for a long time. Silence wrapped around her like a cold blanket. When she finally replied, she kept it simple. I won't be covering this expense. Minutes later, her phone lit up. First came her mother's call. Then her sister. Then text messages poured in like accusations. Her mother said she was choosing the worst moment to be difficult. She said the family needed unity. She said Sarah was embarrassing them. Rick chimed in soon after. He called her ungrateful for everything they had done. He listed sacrifices that never happened. He reminded her she earned more than them. He insisted she should contribute without complaints. Then Lily messaged. Her texts were sharper. You know how stressed I am. You've always tried to make things about you. You're ruining my engagement. Each sentence hit like a shove. Sarah typed and deleted dozens of replies. Nothing felt right. Nothing felt enough. Finally, she put her phone down. Hours later, a group chat notification appeared. Her mother announced that the party planning continued. She wrote that Sarah's refusal had hurt the family deeply. She said they would move forward, without negativity. Rick added a thumbs-up emoji. Lily sent a heart. All three acted as if Sarah were the problem. As if she were the disruptor. As if 14 years of sacrifice meant nothing. Sarah felt anger rise for the first time in years. Not disappointment. Not sadness. Anger. Pure and startling. She scrolled back through old messages. Every request sounded more entitled than the last. Every thank you felt transactional. She saw a pattern she had ignored. Her generosity had become their oxygen. Her silence had become their weapon. She realized they didn't fear losing her. They feared losing access to her bank account. The truth stung. But clarity came with it. For the first time, she questioned the roles they assigned her. For the first time, she wondered what life looked like without their demands. The noise from her phone faded. The accusations continued without her reading them. She closed her laptop. She stood up slowly. And she felt something unfamiliar but steady. A boundary. A line finally drawn. She didn't know what would happen next. But she knew one thing for certain. She was done paying to belong. Sarah sat at her kitchen table with a notebook open. She had finally decided to stop giving blindly. Her hands shook as she logged the first transaction. Then the next. Then the next. Every payment from the past 14 years went into neat columns. She found bank statements, screenshots, emails, and old text messages. She discovered bills she didn't remember paying. She uncovered transfers labeled as emergency, which were vacations in disguise. She read messages where her mother mocked her behind the scenes. Rick's emails suggested ways to get more from Sarah. Her sister Lily joked about her money without remorse. Each line of evidence stung. She realized the extent of the manipulation. It was systematic. It wasn't accidental. It was planned. For years, she had been a financial crutch disguised as a daughter and sister. Sarah felt her anger solidify into determination. She reached for her laptop and began making a timeline. Every year, every month, every payment had a corresponding note. She inserted copies of receipts and emails. She labeled every interaction, every subtle insult. She created folders named proof of manipulation, inflated bills, mocking emails. Each folder was a brick in the foundation of her case. She contacted a legal accountant to review her records. The accountant confirmed what she suspected. The family had exploited her extensively. Next, she met with a lawyer to discuss options. She learned how evidence could be presented clearly in court. She took careful notes during every consultation. She drew a plan step by step. Then she opened PowerPoint. She titled the first slide, 14 Years of Exploitation. The next slide, Proof of Financial Manipulation. Following slides showed emails, bank statements, and invoices. She highlighted the lies and the jokes made at her expense. She inserted screenshots of Lily's messages demanding money. She included excerpts from Rick and her mother's correspondence. Every detail was organized to tell the story truthfully. Each slide was a piece of undeniable evidence. She rehearsed how she would speak. She timed each segment. She prepared for questions and interruptions. She imagined the shock on everyone's faces when they saw the truth. She considered how it would feel to finally confront them with facts. Her chest tightened as she practiced. Her hands no longer shook. They were steady. Her voice became confident as she spoke to the empty room. She reviewed the slides again. She added more annotations. She removed anything unnecessary. Everything pointed to one clear message. She was no longer a victim, silently paying for their lives. She had proof. She had facts. She had a story they could not rewrite. By the end of the night, Sarah had 20 slides ready. She looked at them, her reflection in the screen staring back. She felt a strange mixture of fear and power. The next step would be the hardest. She would face them. She would reveal everything. She would no longer be invisible. And for the first time in 14 years, she smiled, knowing the truth was finally hers to share. The ballroom was filled with laughter and clinking glasses. Sarah's heart pounded beneath her dress. She clutched her laptop like a shield. Her eyes scanned the crowd. They were all there. Her mother smiled politely. Rick nodded toward her with fake warmth. Lily beamed, unaware of the storm coming. Thomas raised his glass in a toast. The music faded. Sarah stood. All eyes turned toward her. A hush fell over the room. She cleared her throat. Her voice was steady. "I have something to share," she said. She connected her laptop to the projector. The screen lit up. Slide 1 appeared. 14 years of financial exploitation. The room went quiet. Slide 2 showed detailed bank transfers. Every payment she made, every inflated bill. Slide 5 highlighted emails mocking her. Her mother's words, Rick's plans, Lily's jokes. The audience murmured. Slide 10 showed text messages demanding money. Slide 12 displayed receipts for so-called emergencies. They weren't emergencies. They were vacations. They were luxuries. They were lies. Lily's smile faltered. Thomas's hand froze on his glass. Her mother's lips pressed tight. Rick's face turned red. Sarah continued, calm and precise. She narrated each slide, pointing out manipulation. She showed patterns, repeated lies, and emotional abuse. The silence in the room was heavy. Guests whispered in shock. Slide 16 revealed internal family messages. They plotted how to extract more money from her. Slide 19 highlighted insults disguised as jokes. Her sister's laughter at her expense. The evidence was undeniable. Slide 20 appeared last. It read, "This is the final transaction." Sarah held up a check for $3,000. The amount they tried to take from her unfairly. She smiled faintly. "This is the last time you will receive money from me," she said. The room froze. Gasps spread across the crowd. Her mother stared in disbelief. Rick's jaw tightened. Lily's eyes welled with tears. Thomas stepped back, shocked and silent. Some guests whispered, others stared openly. No one knew how to respond. The power balance had shifted instantly. Sarah's voice remained firm. No accusations, just facts. No anger, just truth. She had taken control of the narrative. She had exposed the lies. She had ended the manipulation. The check lay on the table. It symbolized more than money. It symbolized freedom. It symbolized boundaries she would never let anyone cross again. The projector shut off. Sarah closed her laptop. The room was still. Then small murmurs began, cautious, uncertain. Some whispered about shock. Some about respect. Sarah left the stage. She felt a lightness she hadn't felt in years. For the first time, she was no longer just the provider. She was the truth bearer. She had confronted the family in front of witnesses. She had claimed her voice. And she had finally, publicly, drawn the line. The next morning, Sarah's phone exploded with messages. Her mother's texts were urgent and angry. Rick called repeatedly, leaving voicemails. Lily sent long strings of accusations. "She's ruined everything," one text read. "She's toxic," another said. Sarah didn't reply. She had prepared for this. She expected backlash. She expected lies. She expected manipulation. What she didn't expect was the legal threat. Lily filed a complaint for defamation. Her mother claimed Sarah had humiliated the family. Rick added that her actions were unacceptable and reckless. The shock was immediate. But Sarah remained calm. Her lawyer reviewed the PowerPoint and evidence again. Every bank statement, email, and text message was documented. Every inflated invoice was accounted for. Every emotional manipulation was noted. The lawyer smiled. "This is strong evidence," they said. Sarah felt a surge of confidence. The court date was set. She rehearsed her statements, calm and factual. On the first day, the family arrived ready to attack. They wore their anger like armor. Their lawyer tried to discredit Sarah. They called her motives selfish. They claimed she was exaggerating. They said she wanted attention. Sarah presented her evidence clearly. Slide by slide, fact by fact. Every claim had proof. The judge listened intently. Even the family's lawyer faltered at the meticulous documentation. Lily tried to deny the text messages. She stumbled over dates. She admitted to excluding Sarah from the party. She could not deny the inflated invoices. Her words contradicted the emails and bank records. The courtroom murmured. Witnesses testified. Friends confirmed Sarah's constant financial support. Her sacrifices were undeniable. Thomas's family began investigating Lily. They discovered a history of dishonesty. The family's credibility started to crumble. Evelyn and Rick faced scrutiny from financial authorities. IRS audits were mentioned. Potential legal consequences hung over them. Sarah watched quietly. She did not gloat. She felt relief. The power dynamic had shifted completely. No one could dismiss the years of manipulation. No one could rewrite the record. Sarah had turned documentation into defense. She had used proof to protect herself. She realized she no longer needed their approval. The courtroom proceedings exposed the family's true nature. Friends and strangers alike began to understand her struggle. Lily's image of innocence faded. Rick's facade cracked. Evelyn's authority weakened. Sarah's integrity shone through every piece of evidence. She left the courthouse that day with a sense of clarity. For the first time, she felt untouchable by their control. She had endured, she had documented, she had confronted. Justice was not fully served yet. But she had reclaimed her narrative. She had revealed the truth. And for the first time in 14 years, Sarah felt seen. Not for her money, not for her service, but for herself. The family's attacks no longer mattered. She had built a fortress from facts. And inside she was free. After the courtroom, Sarah felt a strange calm. The storm had passed, but the debris remained. She reviewed every document one last time. Emails, receipts, bank transfers, all neatly organized. She even found the old abuse report from when she was 17. It had been ignored for years. Now it was a weapon in her hands. She sent copies to the authorities. IRS, police, court. Every channel received the evidence. Her lawyer nodded approvingly. "This is comprehensive," they said. Sarah felt a weight lift from her shoulders. No one could silence her now. She began receiving messages from strangers, people who had suffered in toxic families. They thanked her for speaking out. They said she gave them courage. Her story resonated far beyond her circle. Even Thomas's mother reached out. Patricia sent a heartfelt letter. She apologized for the pain caused by Sarah's family. She offered to connect and support Sarah. Sarah read the words carefully. She did not respond immediately. She wanted to be sure of her next steps. She decided to collect every piece of old evidence, every bank statement from the past 14 years, every email her mother and Rick had sent, every text from Lily demanding money. She compiled it into one comprehensive file. It was her record, her truth, her protection. She submitted the files to the proper authorities. Her actions were deliberate and final. She was not seeking revenge. She was claiming her rights. She was choosing her own life. The weight of past manipulation lifted. She could breathe without guilt. She could exist without fear. Friends and colleagues noticed a change. Sarah was calmer, more confident, unshakable. She started to speak openly about toxic family dynamics. She offered guidance to those trapped in similar situations. Her experience became a roadmap for others. She realized her story had value beyond herself. She had turned pain into purpose. She was finally free from the cycle of exploitation. She could make choices for herself alone. No one dictated her actions anymore. She could refuse without fear. She could say no without guilt. Her voice was hers to use. Her money was hers to keep. Her life was hers to live. Sarah decided not to reconcile. The family had shown their true colors. Forgiveness was not necessary. Healing did not require approval from them. She closed the chapter on that part of her life. A sense of clarity settled over her. She felt strength she had never known. Every step she had taken led to this moment. She no longer carried their manipulation. She carried only her truth. And with it came liberation. Sarah walked forward into a life of her own making. Boundaries intact. Voice intact. Freedom intact. The past had shaped her, but it no longer controlled her. For the first time in 14 years, she was fully herself. And she smiled, knowing this life was entirely her own. Sarah walked out of the courtroom, feeling lighter than she had in years. The family she once feared could no longer touch her life. Their approval was irrelevant. Their anger no longer held power over her. She had reclaimed her voice. She had reclaimed her money. She had reclaimed her boundaries. The years of manipulation could not follow her here. She no longer carried their expectations. She no longer answered to their demands. Her life belonged to her alone. Sarah began making choices freely. She spent money on herself without guilt. She said no without fear. She built friendships without calculation. She pursued opportunities without apology. Her past no longer dictated her future. She could honor her own needs first. She could speak her truth without hesitation. She could walk away without regret. People who had witnessed her struggle began to follow her example. They learned they could escape toxic control. Her story became a beacon of courage. Sarah smiled at the new possibilities before her. She felt strength in every step. She felt peace in every decision. She felt freedom in every breath. Her family's judgment no longer mattered. Her past had shaped her, but it did not define her. For the first time, she lived solely for herself. And in that freedom, Sarah finally thrived.